All right, there. What's going on, y'all? Thanks for tuning in to Zone Coverage Podcast with your boy, Zoe Phillips. Had a little technical difficulties getting up in here, man, but thanks for tuning in. And we'll go and get started, man, and actually go over this slate of games over this past weekend. And got a little info with regards to some recruiting for you guys. Excuse me. And go ahead and jump into it, man. As you guys know, we had a good slate of games within the SWAC as well as the MEAC over the weekend, as well as a few games that's actually going on today within both conferences, and had a big matchup, as you guys know, with Jack State and Alabama State. Jack State, well, pretty much every team came into the season and started off with a horrible non-conference slate, but we had a pretty big game. When you talk about, let me get rid of this real quick. When you talk about, get rid of this. Jackson State and Alabama State, man. And Jack State came in winning that game 77-70. Mo Williams got his third straight win over the Hornets since he became the head coach of Jackson State. And Jack State actually started out the conference 2-0 in conference. They're actually playing Alabama A&M right now. And I believe the score of that game, give you guys a live update. We can refresh it here. They're actually tied right now, 55-55, with just a shade above 6 minutes in the second half at home. And we'll kind of fill you in on that game as it goes on. And we also had some games on the men's side. Bethune-Cookman beat Grambling 65-59. We had Prairie View defeating Valley 74-65. We had Alcorn defeating Alabama A&M 62-52, as well as Southern defeating FAMU 91-57. Over on the women's side, we had JSU surprisingly having the best record within the conference, defeating Bama State 74-44. Gave them a 30-piece at home. You got Bethune-Cookman playing Grambling and coming out on top 70-52. You got Valley upending Prairie View 69-52. Alabama A&M over Alcorn 66-56. And Southern defeating FAMU 77-61. Now, when we get into the standings, you got Southern sitting at the top of the conference with a good record. They're sitting at 8-8 right now, sitting number 1 at 3-0 in the conference on the men's side. You got Bethune-Cookman and Jack State tied for second at 2-0 in conference play. Bethune-Cookman with a 5-10 record. Jack State coming in at 2-13. So, Southern, who's had some good non-conference success, they have the best record. And, man, to be at 500 this early in the season actually bodes well for them. So if they actually run pretty well within the conference, you're easily talking about those guys, possibly staying under single digits in losses on the season, which will bode well for the conference. But, man, it's just these records are horrible. Like I said, you got Jack State and Bethune-Cookman tied at second on the men's side. And you got Prairie View coming in at fourth at 3-1. Alabama after them at 2-1, and Alabama State at 2-1. And Jackson State and Alabama A&M are in a dogfight right now, which is a huge game because Jack State wins, they stay tied with Southern in first place, and if Alabama A&M loses, which they need this victory, it'll take them down to 2-2, and heading down toward the bottom end of the spectrum. So they need to actually come in and possibly win this game on the road, big game on the road for those guys. On the women's side in the standings, like I said, you have Jackson State and Texas Southern tied at the top spot at 3-0 apiece. Jack State coming in with the best record in the conference at 5-9. Texas Southern at 4-10. Tied for third place, you got Alabama A&M and Southern. Alabama A&M 3-1, Southern at 3-1, and Alabama A&M has the best overall record within the conference. But Jackson State, Alabama A&M is 10-6. And coming up behind Jackson State, that's crazy. Like I said, coming in backing that up, you got Grambling and Alabama State both set up tied at 2-2, and then everybody else sitting at 1-2 until you get to Prairie View and Valley, who are 1-3, and Pine Bluff, who hasn't won a single game this season. And so then after that, we'll mosey on to the MEAC, and I'll get into tonight's games with everybody else in just a moment here as well. When we get into the MEAC, when we look at conference standings right now, on the men's side, both men and women. Norfolk are leading, but right now Norfolk is undefeated in conference with 3-0, sitting the top by themselves at 12 with a 12-7 record, which is a really good record. Howard's coming in at second place with a 2-0 conference record. They're sitting at 7-9, and then you got South Carolina State at 2-1. Everybody else is coming in at 1-2, and then you have Maryland Eastern Shore coming up at the end at 0-2. On the women's side in the MEAC, like I said, you got Norfolk State coming in with a 4-0 record in conference play with 16-4 overall. Man, that coach is doing a phenomenal job. Then you got Howard coming in at number 2 with a 3-0 conference record. They're sitting at 10-8. And then you got Coppin State, Morgan State, and North Carolina Central all night up in third place, all coming in with a 2-2 record. Coppin State is 11-9, which is still a good record. Morgan State is 9-10, and North Carolina Central, is 4-14. After that, you got Maryland Eastern Shore at 1-2, South Carolina State at 1-3, and Delaware State bringing up the rear at 0-4. Now we actually get into tonight's slate of games. As it stands right now, Jackson State with 5 minutes 30 seconds left to go in the second half. Jackson State is leading Alabama A&M 59-57. FAMU is currently losing to Grambling 24-16. You have Prairie View getting the win over Arkansas Pine Bluff at 75-64. And we have Alcorn defeating Alabama State 67-65. Texas Southern defeating Valley 82-53. And we got Southern defeating Bethune-Cookman 69-53. So we only got 2 games left in action. That will be the FAMU Grambling game and Alabama A&M and Jackson State. And when we actually slide over to, over to the MEAC, as it stands right now, you got Delaware State leading Delaware State over North Carolina Central 59-57. We have South Carolina State leading Maryland Eastern Shore 65-49 with 5 minutes left to go in the second half. You have Howard by 10 over Coppin State 63-53 with 11 minutes left to go in the second half. And then we have Morgan State leading Norfolk State by 2 with 37 seconds left to go in the second half. And that will be a huge upset because Morgan State is down 2 games back to Howard, and Howard is undefeated, like I just mentioned to you guys earlier in the conference slate. Look, I wanted to get into some things too over the weekend. As you guys know, we're well into football recruiting season, and things have been heating up as of late. And as I mentioned to you guys last week, we're currently still in a dead period for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of this week. But the recruiting did pick up over the weekends. Now, granted, dead period just simply means that there could be no contact with any of the coaches or anybody else with those players, but players still can commit, even though they may have privately already, but they can still commit during the dead period. So we have a lot of traction going on over the weekend. A lot of big news. We'll actually get into Prairie View. Jermaine Jackson, man, he's hit the ground running since he touched down in Texas. And over the weekend, man, got 6 strong commits and some really good talent coming in. You look at Tyler Nelson, picked up a quarterback out of Garden City Community College. Looks really good, too. You look at getting a kid, and the majority of these guys are from Texas, by the way. You look at Jacoby Banks, who was a wide receiver out of Memphis with some really good measurables. He's from Texas, transferring, get closer back to home. And then Sterling Roberts, the lone commit that he's gotten thus far from Valdosta State, kind of a tweener, you know what I'm saying? But being that this is his first commit from Valdosta State and there really hasn't been an influx of guys from that school just yet, it's very telling, and I'm going to get into that in just a second. Then you look at Tayshawn Wilson, DB from Baylor, again, Texas kid, transferring down, still staying close to home, bringing some added talent over to Prairie View. You look at Jabari Hopkins. It's a defensive lineman, Youngstown State. It's a really solid pickup. And also you got to look at William White, a DB from Northwestern State over there in Natchitoches, Louisiana for the Demons at Northwestern State. And again, Texas kid coming back home. And the guy came in and did exactly what he said he was going to do. I love the move with the pieces that he's made thus far. And again, it's not like the cupboard is bare at Prairie View. They had some talent on that roster, and you haven't had just a boatload of guys hitting the portal from that, from Prairie View. And so he's going to retain some of those good players, but I like what he's bringing in thus far. And the point that I want to mention to you guys in relation to Sterling Roberts, the linebacker from Valdosta State, I want to tell you guys, typically when a coach comes in, you'll typically get a lot of influx of talent from the previous stop over to the new location. We could look at Charles Huff at Southern Miss. You could look at even Chennis Berry at Benedict from last year going to South Carolina State. And typically that's the norm, and you expect that. But I think coming up from D2, the fact that he's, doesn't have an influx of guys is very, very telling. Unless we know that he has connections and he really wants to actually upgrade the talent. And if he's cherry picking the talent from Valdosta State, that's very, very telling. Also, Valdosta State is a D2 powerhouse from the Gulf South Conference. Very, 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 very strong football program. And so the fact that he's going to cherry pick some of those guys to bring over to Prairie View is very, very telling. I'm expecting a good year from them. And again, just like the pieces that he's done thus far. We're going to make our way over to the Heights of Seven Hills down in Tallahassee. FAMU, quiet as it's kept. FAMU has been bringing in some good talent as well. They've gone very, very heavy in the portal with a lot of guys. I haven't seen much of a lot of high school guys, but they've got a few. But they've really, really made traction and made headway with hitting the portal and bringing some guys back with Florida ties back over to FAMU. They picked up a former Florida Gator, Gavin Hill, a tight end from Florida. It's a big kid too. Big kid with some size, former four-star player. And again, it's gonna come down to FAMU, like a lot of schools in the SWAC. It's gonna come down to portal play and how they actually utilize it. And that's the main thing in the SWAC when it comes to certain talent. Even for Jack State in the past, we will sit there and talk about all these great talent that we have, but man, if it's not being utilized, it kind of doesn't matter. And the SWAC this upcoming season, is going to be a really good repeat of last season in regards to a lot of new quarterbacks within the conference. And, it's going to come down to who actually is going to settle down at quarterback and actually get some decent to average or above average quarterback play. Because what we've seen over the past, man, not just even the past 4 or 5 years, but man, when you talk about even prior to that, the team typically with the best quarterback typically wins the divisions and actually wins the conference. And it's a lot of new quarterbacks going to be in the SWAC in 2025. So a lot of guys going to have to hit the ground running, try to get try to gel with the teammates, and we can actually see where we go. And then most importantly, I want to get into, man, Delaware State. Man, Deshaun Jackson has been hitting it out the park. Over the weekend, man, picked up the highest ranked recruit in school history. Huge get. And I can tell you right now, he's going after a lot of speed. So one thing that stands out of what Deshaun Jackson is getting so far. And so far, I believe, if I have to go off the top of my head, I think they got about 7 commits right now that we know of that's out there. And out of the 7 commits, I want to say 4 of them from California. And I fully expect for him to have about 25 guys from California to go in with him to Delaware State. That's a huge number. And all the guys he's gotten thus far, it's been crazy speed. But they got a commitment over the weekend from Jaden Robinson, who comes from a football powerhouse, Junipero Serra. And that school, man, has a history of some bad top-notch wideouts from that school. Been known for producing speed, and here this kid comes in. Short kid, 5'9", 160, but major offers. Got legit offers from Arizona State, Colorado State, as well as Utah, I believe, as well. Grambling actually offered him, man, but for him to go to Delaware State under this short of a guys, but again, it comes down to relationship. This is a huge get. This guy is rated. I know this is going to sound pretty far, but when you look at the number of kids, if you look at the number of 5 stars, the number of 4 stars, and the number of 3 stars just in California alone, man, he's the 115th rated player in the state of California. That's a huge get, man. especially from a team who only won 2 games the previous year. So this is a big get, and you add to the fact of him getting Antonio Gates Jr. Add to the fact that he's getting Kobe Boykin, another 4-star from California by way of Jackson State. Deshaun Jackson is getting some speed. I'm just looking and waiting to see who the signal caller is going to be that they're going to actually bring in. And they did get the quarterback from Delaware State to get out of the portal to return back to school. So it's going to be really, really interesting when they release the full slate of names for who's going to join the coaching staff, which we should probably hear sometime this week, definitely by next week, to see what that looks like. And I think that'll be a really, 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 really cool deal. But yeah, man, I saw in the comments what's going on, everybody. And I'm gonna go ahead into the comments and see what's up. What up, Tuck? And yeah, I'm gonna get into Prime in just a second. What up, Uncle Steve? EA, what's happening? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh yeah, Jackson State home slate is not looking pretty. It's just okay, but yeah, that is a good home schedule. Man, Central, JSU, Alabama State, and Alcorn at home. Man, y'all need to be look with a home slate like that. Man, y'all ought to be selling 8,000, 9,000 season tickets yourself. Anyway, yeah, Jay, I'm gonna touch on that in just a second. What's up, Smash? Yeah, you say they often had no problem scoring. It's not so much about them scoring, but it's still about having a dominating offense. Again, you can score, but you still want to upgrade the talent in the room. Even if you got a loaded roster, you still want to out recruit the roster that you got. And man, they're adding some serious speed to that roster. Yes, Antonio Gates Jr. Antonio Gates' son from Michigan State transferred. He's going to Delaware State. Let you get Zai. Actually, I think I got a real good feeling Zai probably going to end up at Alcorn. I mean, if I'm Alcorn, I don't even know why I'm waiting to even pull the trigger to give them an offer. And they may have. I'm speaking, but Zai would be a good fit at Alcorn or Southern. I really, really do. What's up, Timona? What's going on? Look, if y'all actually caught me on Scotty's show, I think that was Saturday. That was Saturday, and we got to talking about the whole thing with Prime. And listen, it sounded crazy when I pitched it to him, but I'm telling y'all, I can see it coming clear as day. And look, all I want is just my credit. I said it last week. Now, granted, I can go on record to say, months ago, I was standing on the table saying that Prime would not be in Colorado after this season. But my thing was he would be done coaching football. But when I actually thought about it and thought about the different scenarios, I felt like Vegas was just low hanging fruit. But man, let me tell you something. I thought about it, I was like, man, it made perfect sense for him to go to Dallas. For him to go to Dallas and where they're positioned and how the roster is set up, there is a real solid pathway for them to get Shador. Getting Shiloh is not going to that's nothing. But to make everything happen, they really can do it. If you look at Dak Prescott's contract, he re-signed that deal last year. The biggest cap hit came within that first year, and Dak was hurt. But Dak, look, people can have their own opinions about him. Dak is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Some people can have their different messages, or no, he's not. But when you look at the productivity and what he's projected to do here still at that same productivity in the next 2 to 3 years, you still can see that. And he's probably on, barring injury, but that's any player in the league, he's still going to hit all those metrics. And so the missing piece, the piece to get this thing rolling is Dak Prescott. Now you look at Cleveland. Deshaun Watson got re-injured. Cleveland has pieces. Remember, Cleveland has the pieces to be a contender right now. They're not a team on losing franchise, so they're not going to draft a rookie quarterback. All signs are saying they're going to draft. All signs say they're going to draft Travis Hunter. But here's the thing. They want to win now. If they can get Dak Prescott, still get the Cowboys first round pick, but then you get Dak Prescott, this year first round pick, next year, you probably can get this year's first round pick and a second, next year's first and a third, they would not turn that down. I can guarantee you that. And they get rid of Deshaun Watson's expired contract. By doing so, that creates your pathway. And but I can also tell you this, the same thing could be applied to Tennessee. Now, granted, I think Tennessee is going to go ahead and draft Cam Ward, but I mean, if they're willing to present a great offer to get Dak Prescott as well as add those picks, the Cowboys have things in tow to make an attractive offer for it to happen. So, because again, it's not just the draft picks; it's the draft picks and add a top 10 quarterback with it. It's going to be hard to turn that down when you're able to give up a top 10 quarterback plus multiple first round picks and multiple second round picks. No team is going to turn that down. Other teams can actually give more picks, but they can't give those picks with a top 10 quarterback. And so it's an attractive offer. I think the telltale sign to be if Deion accepts that job, because I can tell you, if he accepts that job, all signs are going to tell you that the Cowboys are going to trade up. So, and the Cowboys can reset their clock with Shador trying to do some things under their rookie contract and their rookie scale. But man, listen, if you guys heard about Deion Sanders going to the Raiders, man, it will look. The Cowboys already must watch TV. They're the most talked about franchise in all of professional football. If Deion Sanders goes to the Dallas Cowboys, it will be pandemonium, literally, from now up until. Well, yeah, and so the thing about waiving that clause, those typically are just a formality. They always work with a player to designate a team to get them traded to. I never work. When have you ever seen a player reject a trade? It doesn't happen. That's why I don't have. That's why I don't have a problem giving it to players. You've never heard a player say, "I'm going to enforce my no trade clause and I'm going to stay here." It doesn't happen. But yeah, Prime in Dallas will be insane. I mean, insane. And I can even assure you, if he goes to Dallas, I can guarantee you Nike's going to bring out a whole new pair of the primetime shoes that he had wore up in the 90s. It's gonna be crazy. Southbound, what about thoughts on the JSU Stadium proposal? I'll just say this: is it really a real proposal? And I'll let you read between the lines on that as it is. There's some more to that. It's a proposal, but it's a different kind of proposal. But I would just tell any Jacksonian, just hold your horses. There's gonna be some really, really good news coming out of Jack State in a little while. But in regards to the stadium, don't get so. I would tell anybody, don't get so crazy about what you read in the paper about the stadium. But there's some things being done behind the scenes. So news actually come out here pretty soon or eventually. That's a good question, man. Who would the Patriots pick up? It's just gonna come down to need. But I will say this: the Dallas Cowboys will pick one or two coaches. It's either going to be Deion Sanders or Bill Belichick. You could take that to the bank. I'll put some money on that. Most real Cowboy fans don't want Deion Sanders as coach. Most all Cowboy fans don't want Jerry Jones as the general manager. So it kind of don't matter. But if Deion Sanders wants that job, oh, he gonna get it. Don't know the football schedule come out? Yeah. Oh, well, not exactly when, but the football schedule should be out sometime next month. Yeah, sometime next month. It'll definitely be out. I would say around the time before the spring game because season tickets go on sale in March, so it'll be out sometime next month. And like I told y'all, it's gonna be a shock on that schedule. Let me tell you. Dak might go to the Saints. Possibly. I doubt it though. I doubt it. Where the stadium gonna be? Me and my dad stay talking about the location. Well, if the stadium is on campus, the land is already designated for Jackson State Stadium. If you actually pull out the map, I don't know if you guys remember back around 2000 and 2004, 2005, somewhere around there, Haley Barber had donated 75 parcels of land to Jackson State. That land resides on from Gallatin Street all the way down to Hooker Street up to University Boulevard. So if you remember when they came out with the proposal for the dome, that dome was sitting on that same parcel of land. So if and when the stadium is built on campus, they have that land designated for a stadium. But there's also another site on campus as well, near that spot, back behind around the. If you come on University Boulevard, where the first roundabout is, you can also develop that land and put a stadium there as well. See what else we got here. Let me check on give you guys an update on this game as well. Let me take a look here and see what we got. All right, we got some finals here in the MEAC. North Carolina Central defeated Delaware State 71-69. And South Carolina State defeated Maryland Eastern Shore 78-64. We still have now Howard taking the lead over Coppin State 78-66 with 3 minutes and 47 seconds left to go in the second half. And we have an upset. Morgan State has defeated Norfolk State 78-74. Over in the SWAC, let's take a look here. We have Jackson State with 10 seconds left to go in the second half, losing to Alabama A&M 67-64. Grambling over leading FAMU 33-24, still with 2 minutes left to go in the first half. And Prairie, like I said, Prairie View defeated Pine Bluff 75-64. And Alcorn defeated Alabama State 67-65. And Texas Southern defeated Valley 82-53. And Bethune-Cookman losing to Southern 53-69. I said, "Well, my Titans to draft Travis." That ain't happening. That ain't happening at all. But let's see. Tamana, look, I can't touch that one. But it's facts though. Haven't won a bowl game. Expecting them to win a playoff game. But the Cowboys haven't won a playoff game in quite a few years too. So yeah, who Prime bring in on staff, that means nothing. A trip by Notre Dame coach getting a shot in the pros, possibly, maybe. If I was him, I wouldn't take it. I mean, black coaches have a short shelf life in the NFL. They get 1 year tops, and I would definitely stay at Notre Dame to guarantee my year. You know what that USM game is? You can make a reservation. That USM game is. I want to say the USM game is the second game of the season, I believe. Hold on, I can actually possibly tell you that. Give me 1 second. 1 second. It's either the second or the third game of the season. And it'll be September 27th. It'll be September 27th. But I can tell you guys too that some of that can still possibly be changed. But as of right now, we're playing them on September 27th. But we got a shocker on that schedule. I'm just gonna tell y'all like this: for all you Jack State fans that can hear my voice, you better stack your coins. Stack your coins because you're gonna need it. What's up, Band Talk? What's happening? What's going on? Uh, EA? No, not really. Maybe, maybe, but I'm gonna tell you, Jackson fans, stack your coins, prepare for football season right now because you're gonna need it. For putting their business on head coach with no experience at HBCU. Tamala, yes and no. I mean, it's a wave now. You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna have that happen anyway, but they're not gonna get it. I want to say this too. It's a NFL guys coaching the HBCUs is not nothing new. It's been happening since we've actually had football and guys going to the NFL. It's nothing new. It was just the term celebrity coaches came about when you talk about Deion Sanders being the SWAC, and Deion Sanders was like the Michael Jordan cleats. He's one of one. Any type of player with popularity, they're not just coming to the SWAC. Like I said, you had Ed Reed trying to come. Like I said, if there was no Deion Sanders, I can assure you, Ed Reed would not have been trying to coach in the SWAC. And honestly, Deshaun Jackson either. So I can appreciate their efforts, but again, two things could be true. Yeah, we want more guys to come up through the HBCU ranks, get it out the mud and matriculate and move up, but it just depends on the school and the circumstances. You know what I'm saying? It has to be the perfect fit. There's nothing wrong with a guy wanting to fast track himself from the NFL if he has some leverage to do so. Not every popular guy is going to coach is going to have success. Like, I don't think Deshaun Jackson going to Pine Bluff does anything or raises the eyebrows like it would at Delaware State. There's some connectivity there. So again, it's fit, and it's not going to work everywhere, So it's cool that it's happening, but it's not going to be an influx where every job that comes open, you're going to have an influx of all these NFL guys trying to coach there. I don't see it. Doug did wonderful at Grambling. Anthony Jones is at Alabama A&M. He's a former NFL player. I mean, we've had him. Harold Jackson, as bad as he was, he's on the cusp of being a Hall of Famer. Jackson State's own. Plenty of guys played in the NFL that coached at HBCUs. It's nothing new. Yeah, Gerard Mayo didn't have a chance. I mean, why even accept the job to give a guy a job for 1 year and fire him? You don't even know what he can do. I think that was the greatest disgrace for, and he's a former Patriot player, and doing him like that did him a great disservice, which I thought was crazy. Yeah, I did see the things wrong. I did see the score. The Rams are destroying the Vikings. I didn't even see that coming. Vikings had a really, really good year. Whoa, Timon with shots thrown. Woof. Will JSU play two FBS schools? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. They'll probably do one. Probably ask for the Zimmerman to be the OC. You mean Zimmer to be the DC? Mike Zimmer to be the DC? Yeah, I can see him moving up with him. That makes sense. A former head coach, and Zimmer is a great defensive mind. Hey man, look, I was looking to go into Chicago too, but you know what? I like the idea of Hampton coming to Jackson first game of the season. We need a good tough game to open the vet that first game. I like it. I like it. I really, really do. But I was looking to go into Chicago too. I'm a huge Bears fan, so I was hoping to go to North Mississippi. Tennessee State? Nah. You would heard if we were playing Tennessee State, you would have heard an announcement by now. Because they would announce, a classic or a potential new classic, whatever the case may be. But nah. Hey Bishop, you better trust me when I tell you. You might want to go ahead and Jackson fans. Trust me, listen to me. Stack your coins, save your coins now. No, they got the actual schedule wrong. It's us. They replaced Jacksonville State with us. It just hadn't been updated. But like I said, there's still some things being worked out. L. Dot, what's going on? Yeah, Tamona, coach was doing experience. But here's the thing. I know people are harping about you not having experience and you should get an opportunity, but since when has that been the metric? I mean, again, it comes down to what you're trying to do. You know, Okay, if you got a school that's never ever won, that's what I'm saying. It depends on the institution. And I'm going to use Delaware State for an example. Delaware State hasn't done anything in the MEAC since the '80s. Nothing. Like they've literally lost more games than they've won in their entire history. And so they've gotten coaches after coaches after coaches who had plenty of experience and they didn't win. So if I'm an AD and I want to say, hey, what can I do to make my school trendy to give us some traction in the national spotlight? And saying with the risk of possibly winning some games and make our program attractive. I would ride the wave and hire Deshaun Jackson too if he wants to be there. Because again, it's not about him necessarily him having experience. He can surround himself with guys that do. And if he does that and it works, then I've succeeded something I haven't done in the past 30 years. I mean, and so again, if they go out and they hired, you know, I put it like this: if Sam Shea got hired at Delaware State, we're not even talking about it. Let's just face the fact: we're not. We're not. We'll be in a let's wait and see mode. You want to know how I know? Because the coach that they just fired, he wasn't even there long. Do half of y'all even know who the head coach was at Delaware State? Half of the people don't. And the coach before him, do you know who that is? Do you guys know who Lee Hole is? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, they were hiring HBCU lifers, and they weren't winning. You don't even know who the head coach was. So I think in some instances, it's the right move to do because it's working right now. Look at the way they're recruiting. They're recruiting because you have Deshaun Jackson. So again, it's up to him to, get the staff. And man, look, if they've won two games the past 2 years, if they come and win, if they go 5-7, I'm dead serious. It's a win-win for Delaware State. Point blank, period. And Deshaun Jackson's older brother, he has a film crew that he's been following, documenting Deshaun Jackson his whole professional life, just like Deion, just like Deion Jr. did for Prime, and he got tons of followers. So they're not mimicking Prime. Let me just go ahead and tell you that he's been doing this since Deshaun was playing in the league. So I mean, they got the template. We'll go back to Memphis. Maybe we will one day. Let's see. We're going to overtime. Sweet. We hit a jump in the last 10 seconds. Sweet. We're in overtime with 2 minutes and 16 seconds left in overtime, and Jack State is winning 73-70. And we got Grambling 39-30 at the half over Florida A&M. What's up, Natasha? I have no qualm with the hiring of the new HBCU football coaches. They were timely and made geographical sense. Pete Richardson, yeah, Pete Richardson, former NFL player, but Pete Richardson wasn't a popular player. But it's tons of former NFL players that coach in the HBCU ranks, tons of them. I know it says Jacksonville State, but we've replaced them. But again, there's still some other things in the works for Jackson State with regards to scheduling because this is another year where we'll have 12 games. So schedule may not necessarily be finalized, but we were on the slate to play Southern Miss. This is not me telling you what I heard. It's me telling you what I know. So again, whether it's finalized or not, that remains to be seen. But we are slated to play Southern Miss. What are the chances of us going home for a home and home in Hampton? Slim to none. We were scheduled to play them in Chicago. Things fell through within the promoter, so to keep the game and everything in tow, we just moved the game as a one-time game in Jackson. We're not, as of right now, we're not playing a home and home, and it's going to be hard to do that anyway because next season, I'm sorry, in 2026, we'll go back to an 11-game schedule. I will make the trip up to Hampton as well. Douglas, I've been hearing some things too. No, Southern Heritage Classic hasn't announced anything. I'll just put it to you like this. I think that if if we were to hear anything with regards to Jack State, Tennessee State, I would almost be certain to think that that game will be played without the same promoter. I think it would just be under a different name if that were to happen. I believe because it's going to be hard for him to turn around and pay Jack State what they owe. Isn't Deshaun related to DSU great John Taylor? I'm unsure. But he is related to a well-known wide receiver coach in California. I do know that, but I'm unsure if he's related to John Taylor. That would be crazy if he was, though. Oh my God, because John Taylor, as y'all know, was a dog. For all you, I feel like an old person now. For all you young people who don't know who John Taylor is, if you know who Jerry Rice is for the 49ers, it would behoove you to go Google who John Taylor is that played opposite Jerry Rice for the San Francisco 49ers in the 80s and the early 90s. He was insane. Has Valley announced their head coach yet? No, they haven't formally announced who their head coach is, but the head coach is going to end up being the interim coach. He said Nebraska Amazon doing a documentary. See what I'm saying? Vic gonna have Virginia plugged up. He in the right spot. He got all the connections. Yes, man. Michael Vick has a solid staff. I like the staff that he put together. I was just hoping that for me, I was hoping that he would have at least one big name. I'm kind of iffy on the D coordinator from Florida Memorial, and he brought him and the safety coach. They were They were both co-defensive coordinators at Florida Memorial. Him and the safety coach. I'm kind of iffy on that. That's not to say that he's not a good coach, but as you guys know, it's different coming up. We're talking about from Flomo. You know what I'm saying? Up to D1 and expect a lot of the same. But if you can coach, you can coach. And again, he very well possibly could do it. So I was just hoping to get at least one bigger name. But I'm gonna tell you, he made a good hire with the assistant head coach, and the O line coach was money. And they all got Virginia ties. So I think the main thing for them, the recruiting is going to be there, and they're in a hotbed locally to get a lot of good players. But that's just personal preference on my end. Just want him to get one more solid name, from that area. I would have loved, for an example, I don't know why, but I would have loved to have seen even somebody like a LeVar Arrington. I know he's from Pennsylvania. I would have loved to see like a LeVar Arrington, you know what I'm saying, on that staff, like a linebacker coach or something. That would have took it over the top for me. Just something with a little bit more oomph there. But we didn't get that from him. So that's the only thing for me in that regard. 1 second. Oh, let's see. My scenes. Okay, here we go. And let me see here. Let's see. Did Reed just become a high school coach? Yay for this 5-7 record next season. Is Tennessee State going to join the MEAC? Well, sure, I've been hearing some things. I would love to see it though. I think, me personally, I think culturally Tennessee State fits better in the MEAC than the SWAC. I really do. They have more ties to games played against teams in the SWAC, but I just think culturally, I think it'd be a perfect fit for the MEAC. Tennessee is connected to North Carolina. You look at Nashville, tie into Greensboro. I don't know why. For me, I think the MEAC should move like their headquarters to Charlotte. I think that'll be dope. But I would love to see Tennessee State in the MEAC. They can get back to 8 teams. Man, that'll be really, really dope. Ooh. Yes, Philip Webb does have another year. Yeah, I heard Ed Reed got hired as an OC at Chamblee High School, which is in Metro Atlanta. Emmett, who's on Vic staff. Yeah, there were some former players. There were some NFL players on that staff. Let me look at this score here. Oh man, 28 seconds left in overtime. Jackson State is losing to Alabama A&M 77-74. Ha, you see this? The winningest football coach at Delaware State, Bill Collick, is not an HBCU graduate. He is an alumnus of the University of Delaware. Coach Collick is now on the DSU Board of Trustees. He coached John Taylor. Wow, there you have it. Let's see. He was second. Jerry Rice, who was a dog too. Yeah, 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 yeah. John Taylor was a dog. Let's see. Okay, they changed the time. We got 32 seconds in OT. Jack stayed down by two to Alabama and Ruffin is 3 for 17. Woo! Yikes! Waiting to see how McMillan is doing. Dorian McMillan. But that's not bad. Down by two with 32 seconds left. Like we're probably gonna end up going to double overtime. Like it happened in 32 seconds. But yeah, man, we've been hearing rumors about Tennessee State joining the MEAC and possibly even A&T or Hampton actually going back to the MEAC. I would love to see A&T go back. A&T with Tennessee State in the MEAC would be a beautiful thing. Would love to see it. I think, like I said, culturally, I just think they fit better there. But man, look, and I'll get into my whole little thing. Matter of fact, I'm gonna come up with something for you guys about the whole thing with regards to a merger between the two in this new landscape. I'm gonna come up with a whole thing for you guys too, because I think you know a good template for you guys and why to work and why it should get done. I know some people look at it like it's a dead horse to actually talk about a merger or want to be FBS, but man, it's too many ways why it needs to happen. I'm gonna actually come up with a template and give you guys come up with a pod system because I once said before that if I could actually give you guys the same thing that you all want, you know, and that is, to play those traditional rivalries that you want to play. Pretty much play the majority of the games that you play, and yet you still can play some great competition outside of the conference on an FBS level. Why wouldn't you take it? If you can do what you do now and elevate it on a bigger scale and make money doing it, why wouldn't you do it? And I think I got a great template and a great example to actually make that happen. We got 24 seconds left in OT. Must be a timeout. Jack State still down to Alabama A&M 75-77. But yeah, man, and just want to tell you guys too. Yeah, man. Look, we got some things brewing for you guys. Like I said, we've been playing Jane for a reason. We're gonna get ready to get a whole new look and layout for you guys, and even the whole presentation of all of this is going to be different. Like I said, oh, we're tied. Now we're tied. Forgive me. It's tied 77-77 with 18 seconds left to go in OT. And real to real, I agree. One thing we've been told about the whole movement was this whole thing of well, if so and so leaves the conference, then what happens to the SWAC? And that mindset. If certain schools want to leave, they can't make a decision about what's going to happen to the previous conference that they were once in. And some people will scoff at that and say, well, we're different. We're HBCUs, and you can't, feel that way if it's going to be to the detriment of other people. And I would simply state that that's a bad way to be, because that means that a lot of people are not handling their affairs and preparing for, you know, years ahead. That's a dependent mind state. We got 11 seconds left. I guess it's foul on the play. I don't know who has the ball. 77-77 still in overtime. But yeah, right now they're need. And I'm telling you, if you think Deshaun Jackson and Michael Vick and some of these coaches with that cachet, imagine that on the FBS level of what that would look like. And think about that. Imagine, for example, let's say if Deion Sanders was at Jackson State still, Deshaun Jackson. Now, granted, I wouldn't put Delaware State in this FBS conference, but I'm still painting the picture. Imagine in that conference, though, you had a Deshaun Jackson, a Michael Vick, Deion Sanders, possibly a Ray Lewis, or it doesn't have to be one of those players. It could be Hines Ward. Hines Ward right now is the wide receiver coach at Arizona State. Imagine if you had that type of cachet in a conference, let's just say 9 teams on an FBS level, what that would look like. Imagine if you could stomach to set up some type of, NIL / collective, standard as well. And what that would look like. Man, you could get the talent. You could get it. And because you can get it right now on the FCS level, just imagine what you could do on the FBS level. And I'm telling you, that HBCU conference on an FBS level, look at that on par with the MEAC conference, with Conference USA, or with the Sun Belt Conference, which is a really, really good football conference, by the way. That would really, 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 that would really, really stand out. Really stand out. Well, it looks like we're about to go to double overtime. It's 3 seconds left. Still tied, 77-77. Well, that's it. 77, we're going into a double overtime. So, and yeah, wow. But man, listen, it's crazy. It's crazy. But look, I'm not gonna hold you guys longer. Look, it's my time. We're gonna come back Wednesday and listen. So yeah, look, I'm gonna actually have a template. I'm gonna really break down some of these other recruits, and I'm gonna actually have some video we're gonna post up to go over some of these recruits, man. Break some things down for you guys in regards to who's getting who and what that looks like. Because I know in some spaces we look at certain players, we're like, oh, they transferred, but they barely played. But it's a lot of good talent coming into the SWAC and coming into the MEAC. We're going to take a look at some of these guys. I'm going to venture a little bit more over to the MEAC on Thursday when we come on, you guys. And like I said, thanks for rocking with me. But again, man, this is your boy Zo Phillips, man. Thanks for tuning in to Zone Coverage Podcast. I'll see y'all on Wednesday, man. We out.